So maybe you're one of these people, you've come back from holiday, you want to get home, but you've used one of those parking services where you take the car, they look after the car for you, but you get back and you can't find the car. They don't know where it is.
It's a nightmare scenario, yeah? It's happening more and more. There's been a rise in complaints, which has led to warnings for customers to fully research operators before going on holiday. Clodagh Stenson, our reporter, has been finding out more.
After buffets, beaches and beer, you're back on home turf. But that return to reality can have a bumpy landing.
Somebody answered and said they had no recollection of having our car at all.
Eventually we're told that the keys had been lost or misplaced.
They basically either put the phone down or ignored my emails.
Yeah, this company is really totally rubbish.
Meet and greets or meet and cheat. After the parking operator Drive Park and Fly claimed they'd lost her keys, Kim was forced to get a midnight taxi to Norfolk with the promise they'd drop her car back.
Eventually they said, look, if I want my car, I need to fetch it. They've had to replace the key with a new key. It's cost them £300 to buy a new key, and I should be grateful.
Eventually, a family member picked up the car, and that lost set of keys?
It was the original key, still with scratches on it, so they had never replaced the key. That had been a lie, and I actually do not know what they did with my car while it was in their care for all those days.
Same company, different problem. Richard was told they'd lost his car.
So I said, right, we're going to have to go into a hotel.
And after 1 week of no car and frantic calls...
What they told us was the car was where we left it, which was in the short stay car park, and it had been there for a week.
Trading Standards has told the BBC that they're getting complaints about cars never being moved at all. So you drop your car off somewhere like this, Gatwick short stay, expecting it to be picked up, and it never is. And while you're away, that can rack up a big fine. When customers' keys are handed back to them, they're unaware that their cars never left the airport, and they'll have to pay this bill to leave the car park. Natasha also used Drive Park and Fly and got a fine after her car was illegally parked.
The issue was that the parking meet and greet people parked it there, not us.
Leon's Romanian holiday got a rude interruption after a series of charges left his bank account.
Entry in the North Terminal by 12:26 and come out by 12:29. It's only 3 minutes.
His van, which should have been securely parked by Galaxy Parking Limited, was repeatedly entering the Gatwick drop-off zone at an automatic charge of £6 a time.
I'm not happy and I got stressed my holiday because I'm thinking if anything happened in my car, and then I had got the blame because I am the owner of the car.
And these experiences are not isolated incidents. The review site Trustpilot is flooded with complaints about Drive Park and Fly and Galaxy Parking Limited. Both Sussex Police and West Sussex Trading Standards have recently warned people to do their research, saying they get regular reports from disappointed customers.
What we're trying to utilise is the intelligence we're receiving from customers and analysing that information to work out have we got any criminal offences. If we can demonstrate this is a constant pattern by the business, then we can look at those offences and take them to task for those actions.
Gatwick Airport stressed that it has no relationship to Drive Park and Fly or Galaxy Parking Limited.
The challenge we have is that they are able to operate on and at Gatwick because they're not breaking any of our bylaws. Just be extra careful when you're looking on these comparison websites at the providers that are on there, and just do extra research. So just check things like the contact details, have they got independent reviews on the likes of Trustpilot, and just go that layer deeper to make sure that what you're booking is fully trustworthy.
So I've just been to visit a known address for Galaxy Parking. They weren't operating at that site any longer. However, there was some other meet and greet operators using that site. They deny any link to Galaxy Parking. Despite promises of reimbursements, neither Kim, Natasha, Leon or Richard have received a penny back.
It had cost me over £350 to get my car back.
So we ended up having to pay the £100.
In total, around 50.
About £400. So the whole experience was just massively frustrating. We were totally helpless. Nobody could help. The police couldn't help. The Citizens Advice couldn't help. Insurance company weren't interested because we didn't think we were going to get the car back. And at the end of the day, it was just down to the people we'd booked with.
We've made multiple attempts to contact both Drive Park and Fly and Galaxy Parking Limited, but neither have responded. Clodagh Stenson, BBC News.
Harry Kind from Which is with us on the sofa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Horrific stories.
They are.
We're hearing.
Well, we hear these all the time. You know,
Do you?
That people end up in these situations where they come back from holiday, they've got all their luggage, they haven't got their car. In some cases, you hear of people turning up at the airport to go on holiday and are stuck waiting for hours for someone to pick up their car, and so they miss their flight. So there are all sorts of terrible situations like that.
Now look, there will be people watching who'll say, well, why don't you just use the official airport operators? And I get that, but they are expensive. And it is when you've paid for your flights, your holiday money, you know, all your travel, you kind of think, oh, I've just got to save a little bit.
Absolutely, and it can turn out your parking might well be more expensive than the flights that you've taken to, you know, halfway across the world. So, people are trying to save a little bit of money. Actually, what we find is that often the official car parking can be cheaper than the unofficial off-site parking.
If you book in advance.
You've got, especially if you book in advance, you've got to save hundreds by booking in advance. So keep an open mind on that. But it's not surprising that people do use these different schemes.
Now, I know you're not going to be able to adjudicate on some of the stories people have told us this morning.
Yeah.
Completely understood. So here's a couple of them for you. So Dave's been in touch. He says, flew back from Dubrovnik last year. Parking company he used couldn't find his car, then lost the keys. Someone else had taken them home, and it took 4 hours to track the keys down. Now, we don't have much more detail on that story, and there's a lot of questions that beg straight away. But that you could just picture yourself in that moment, and you just say, I'm picking up my car, and they go, ah.
Yeah, well, I think I might know the flip side of Dave's story is that we've heard about people who get back to the airport and are given the keys to the wrong car. You know, they've dropped off a Nissan Micra and they're given a Lamborghini. That would be a pretty nice situation to have. But that is not what you want.
Although you can't keep the Lamborghini.
You can't keep the Lamborghini. You don't want to play that lottery. And that just suggests that there are some cowboys out there who can't run a proper business. They can't keep track of keys, but also that they are mistreating the cars when they have them.
Another viewer got in touch to talk about the time they paid for a meet and greet parking when travelling to Dubai. A week into the holiday, they received a call saying that the car was being driven around and left in a residential road almost every evening. And the car's tracking history appeared to confirm this.
Basically, there's not a lot stopping any cowboy from setting up one of these businesses. You know, we could go and build a website right now and say, we will pick up your car at Manchester Airport and we will look after it. And really, that's going to cost you no money. It's going to, there's going to be no kind of accreditation there. And if you were someone who wanted to go, storming around the estate in someone else's car, then there's not a lot stopping you from doing that.
You've used the word cowboys and also spoken about accreditation because Ken texted to say he had similar issues to the previous viewer. When he returned home from holiday, found his car engine had blown up. It had been towed home. The mechanic told him his car had been driven at speed from a cold start. So someone had been joyriding or taking this car out. What is the comeback to this if you are dealing with cowboys without proper accreditation?
So I think there's a few different things you can do here, right? It's that you can try and prevent this in the first place by making sure that you take a photo of the car, a full video when you drop off the car, and that includes the petrol gauge and the mileage of the car. And if you do that in full view of the person that you're handing the car off to, then there's a pretty clear sign that they're not going to get away with using and abusing your car. That is a little bit of insurance on your end. But what I would say is that when you're picking the company, it's really important that you do just in your mind think, this is me handing the keys to my car to a stranger, and therefore do your research. You've got to check reviews online, check multiple review sites because it is easy to make fake reviews. So go on to Trustpilot and Google, collate those reviews, do a comparison, but then also check your own car insurance because it may well be that your car insurance doesn't apply to a car while it's being parked, particularly if it's being driven by a third party. So you have to make sure that you've got that protection as well.
And it's worth saying, Harry, There are other ways of getting to and from an airport that don't involve any of this. That's one way to preclude, isn't there?
I would say stress-free a lot of the time is just, rolling up on the train. There are also some, really good options if you have a car. Even official parking can be cheaper, so make sure you check that out. But also look at parking in people's driveways. There are a lot of schemes that allow you to basically use Just Park or Parkopedia to park in a trusted person's driveway for the duration and then get a taxi the short
Check with them
distance.
first. Don't just park in someone's driveway.
Yes,
just,
and leave a note saying please and thank you. Yes.
Nice to see you this morning.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Harry.
Thanks for getting in touch as well with your stories.